Hi and welcome to the Financial Fox. We will be talking today about blockchain and commodities with our special guest, Chris Cleverly, Executive Chairman at Block Commodities. Hi Chris, how are you?
Hello Stefania, how are you?
So first of all, we will need to make a clarification here because most of our investors will remember you from African Potash, which is now Block Commodities, with a completely different focus on building blockchain ecosystem in Africa. So maybe Chris, would you like to explain a little bit more about the new business and the strategy?
Well, the new strategy, Stefania, is not that new really. So what we've always tried to do is provide well-priced fertiliser. We've been selling fertiliser in Zambia in small amounts. But what we found was it was very hard to increase the amount in which we were selling because it was too costly for the farmer. The farmer would have to borrow money from a local money lender or from a microfinance. When he borrowed that money, he was borrowing it at, in Zambian prices at government level was 40%. So many farmers were paying 10% per month and every month to actually pay for their inputs, be they fertiliser, tractors, seeds, pesticides. So what we realised was that there was a barrier to scaling up at these kind of levels. And we didn't want to increase our prices because that's not why we went into it. We were hoping to create and intend to create a high impact, high return business. So what the blockchain does for us is that it allows us to, in our instance, borrow crypto coins, tokens, from a very good provider, Wala. Wala is very big, very successful, growing microfinance group in Africa, South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and in Uganda. And we've been able to borrow at low rates from them, and then we lend to the farmer at about 12% interest rate, which absolutely allows him now to grow his business, not just live on a subsistence level, take in fertiliser, and also then feed his family and sell on to the market. Blockchain takes us a little bit further than that because it also allows us to create a relationship with the ultimate buyer. So a global buyer, be it a Cargill or a World Food Programme or a Nestle or whatever it is that the harvest is going to be that's applicable to them, through our commodity exchange partners, the GMEX, UK regulated, excellent business, who have a subsidiary called FinComEco. They then take the product that our farmers produce, take the harvest, and then they sell it on through their market. So we're very fortunate with our partners, very fortunate that blockchain came around because it provides a solution which hitherto there was no solution to.
Yeah, I think one of the key points is about financial inclusion, and that's what the Wala platform is providing you. I mean, how did you met them? How did you came across?
Well, actually, strange enough, over the last summer when cryptocurrency and blockchain started coming in, we started doing a lot of research. We came through to them through two different sources, which we were both lucky on both of them. One through the Bitcoin Foundation, and one just through the fact that they were actually active in Africa, and we felt that we wanted to work with a partner that was active in Africa, like Dala. And so we can also see that they could turn out to be a very influential coin. What people don't realise about Africa sometimes is the uptake of technology. Smart telephone technology uptake is absolutely huge on the continent. And of course, this was the continent that really embraced mobile banking in the first place. So while America was still doing chip and pin, in Nairobi, in Kenya, mobile banking with M-Pesa had already overtaken everyone. So very impressive.
And that's probably why the blockchain technology, it could really have a massive impact in developing countries such as Africa, because it's actually giving the opportunity to people to change, and grow their country as well. Yeah, that's very interesting.
So I mean, just jumping in there, actually, Stefania, the real issue here is that there are opportunities for leapfrogging technologies. So technologies where there's already a legacy, such as here, where BT is now turning itself around, trying to reinvent itself. It's bringing down the BT tower. Over there aren't those legacy businesses, so immediately things go forward a lot further. And that's something that we're very excited about, is actually seeing how we can leverage it. They're calling it Farmer 3.0, which is where the farmer becomes the center of an ecosystem in which all these blockchain technologies, other technologies, better fertilizers that work with the soil, the sort that we sell, can all be brought together for a very, very interesting ecosystem.
So we could mention like agri-tech substantially. That's
absolutely spot on. Agri-tech is where we see our business going. There are other people who sell fertilizer and do it very well. There are
Yeah.
people who buy food and do it very well. Agri-tech allows the centre of that to become the farmer and those who support the farmer. And that's where we're going to place ourselves, because the farmer is the centre of it. And we're going to find that their distribution and the ability for technology through big data to connect around that farmer is what's going to create huge efficiencies across this market. And let's not forget what efficiencies mean in this market. There's going to be 2.5 billion people in Africa fairly soon. That's a huge jump from the 1.3 billion where it is right now. Someone's got to feed those people, and they feed them in a business way, not a charity way. This is going to be business. And if we get it right, then with also the fact that a quarter of the world's arable land that can be used for farming is also in Africa, what that means is we can also end up feeding the rest of the world as well.
Let's pick up on that because we have got quite a few interesting announcements over the last few days. One was the launch of the farm coin, and the second one is this new consumer coin, the simple token.
Absolutely.
Now, I think it will be important if you could maybe explain how those tokens, they all fit together, and also what are the different functions they perform. Because if I'm not understanding wrong, the farm token is more an infrastructure token, where the simple token is consumer token, and we have got the dollar token. So
the way it works is that these currencies, because that's essentially what they are, they're ways in which transactions occur, they're flows. And because they're digital, some types of currencies are better for different types of jobs. So in this particular instance, what we've identified is a family of currencies that when they're put together, when they're actually structured in the right way, complement each other and allow the farmer to do all the things that he needs to do. So within that family that we're talking about, obviously we've talked about dollar. Dollar is a fantastic coin for allowing us to lend to farmers, for them to understand, become financially literate, to do remittances, and to work within the structure of what their money is and what it can do, accept insurance, these sort of things. So next to that is once they've actually gone through the process and they've sold their harvest, they will also want to be able to buy other goods. So a consumer coin, such as the type the Simple Token provides, which is a platform coin, which we'll be able to develop and work with our partners, FinComEco, they will work with us as well to create something that will be very good in terms of buying, electronic goods, buying things with discount as a group booking. These kind of things can be developed through that coin. What the farm coin does, which is unique, and like I said, the real interesting thing here is going to be Africa 2.0, it's going to be agri-tech. It's going to be how we actually invest into Africa so it creates leapfrogging technologies, not just in terms of warehouses, but smart pallets within warehouses, not just with tractors, but also smart tractors, the sort that John Deere are now producing. Not just in terms of crop spraying, but drones that do the crop spraying, or drones that collect the data as to how the farm is actually growing, and very smart fertilizers and smart soil irrigation and technology combined with solar energy. So those things combined together, and the collection of the data with deep learning techniques, those things are going to create an extraordinarily efficient market. And that market, which at the moment means that fertilizers sold at double the price fertilizers sold at in Ukraine.
So the access is
just
very
changes,
limited.
Absolutely. Yeah. This changes the game. We're talking about game changers here. And no one is really put up the flag in Africa to say that's what they're going to do. There's businesses now doing it in America, but not yet in Africa.
So that could potentially completely give Africa an opportunity to become a leading country, and exploit also his reserves
Absolutely.
and his potential as
Absolutely.
well. A complete change in power just due to the blockchain technology.
Well, I think it gives a huge opportunity. Look, Uganda was not so long ago one of the big leading countries insofar as coffee, and it's now aiming to be the same again. Technology's moved on, and they're going to be on top of that technology situation with our pilot project that's going to be starting in Uganda to allow them to reposition themselves again with coffee just behind Brazil. And so these things can happen very quickly, where a country within a couple of seasons, a few harvests, can suddenly be very much a big player in a particular commodity. And with the right sort of technology techniques, and particularly if the farmer can afford to help to build his own business, which is what we're doing. We're talking about self-help here. We're providing farmers with the solutions so they can build their own economies, because there's no point growing anything if you've got to pay 40% interest and therefore stand a chance of losing your whole farm.
Yeah, so you mentioned your pilot project starting in Uganda later in the summer. How are things going there?
Absolutely on plan. We've been there a few times now in terms of meeting up with the Ministry of Agriculture. We're feeling very good about it. We're working with a top-class fertiliser company now, coming in with inputs. We're working obviously with GMEX and FinComEco on the outputs. They're embracing technology. There's a blockchain conference there in about a week so time. And so we feel that there is a real opportunity for us to work there on the ground and actually create real change very quickly. They're being very responsive. Proof's always in the pudding with these things. And us with our history know that more than anyone else. But with the blockchain technology, we can be assured that we're in a very different position from anyone else.
Last question, a bit tricky question. So you are listed on the next exchange, and despite the good news flow, the share price hasn't moved in the right direction. So my question is, what are your plans to deliver value to your shareholder going forward?
Well, Stefania, I've got to be careful about what I say here in terms of with the rules. We're very happy with the way the Next are treated with us. They've embraced us at a time in which we needed to be embraced, and I think it's important for us to also balance that with the need to give the shareholder true value. You cannot really talk about a company which has borrowed $10 million worth of coins at 3.5% interest as a bridging loan and still have it valued at the prices that it is right now. You can't look at a business like Viper, the fertilizer company that we've invested into, and having a very strong relationship going forward with out of South Africa that's been there for so many years, has a genuine business, has a genuine turnover, has a genuine revenue flow, and still be valued at the prices that we're valued at. So there's things that people have to look at, and not least of all the opportunity that we still have within the Republic of Congo, which we haven't spoken about here, but is still a huge opportunity that sits within the whole strata of the food chain meets commodity chain that we are building as Block Commodities. So I don't want to go too much into what I say the value of this business is. People can work it out for themselves. And
I think it sounds very exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting. We're excited.
So we have to wrap up here, but it would be nice to have you back on the show as things progress at Block.
I'm sure we'll have loads to talk about.
Okay, thank you. That's everything from the Financial Fox. See you next time.